Welcome in everybody to the Ball Does Lie podcast, your one-stop shop for daily NBA content. I'm your host, Brendan, joined by Amir. Amir, great to see you today.
Likewise.
Yeah, so we got some news out of the NBA offices. The governors and the GMs met, I think, last Friday to go over and talk about different strategies to help dissuade teams from tanking. It just continues to be a burden on the NBA. A lot of teams shutting players down for entire seasons. And so there are a couple of different strategies I think the NBA is looking to implement. Was wondering if you've gotten the chance to look at those and what your thoughts are, and maybe if you have some opinions on how we can fix this tanking problem we have in the league.
Well, I mean, it's kind of funny too, because even though there are teams that are tanking, they're not always rewarded technically. So like the
No.
NFL, which I don't know, like, do teams tank in the NFL or do they just suck? That's a different conversation. But the worst teams based on record, get those picks based on their record. There's no lottery system. But like with football, I don't know. It changes so quickly. Like you could be last in your division one year, and the next year you can win your division. When
Yeah.
the hell has that happened in basketball?
Yeah. I feel like in football as well, one player can't quite make such an impact. Where in the NBA, you could literally be 1 to 2 pieces away. So the tanking, there seems to be a little bit more bang for your buck when you're tanking in the NBA. And in the NFL with all the parity, like to your point you were just making, you can basically go from 1 year being in the dwellers of whatever conference to the next year you're in the playoff hunt and you're chasing a 1 seed. It's just so variable. But yeah, a little bit different between those two leagues.
For sure, yeah. But the NBA, they're admitting the current system doesn't work, which is good because it kind of doesn't work. And so they have some good ideas in theory. But I think one of them they said was limiting pick protection. So you either get like a top 4 protection or 14 plus. I think that's
14
interesting
and higher, yep.
it discourages teams from half sucking and half tanking. I guess you're either all the way bad or you're trying to win. So there's no incentive to be in the middle, and being in the middle sucks. So if you're a playing team like the Hawks, the Bulls, my Heat, there's no real incentive for those teams to start losing in the end of the season. Like you need to either lose a lot or be a better team, I guess,
Or compete.
to get home court or compete. So that's kind of cool. And then you said no top 4 picks in back-to-back years. I don't know if I like that
I don't
one.
know about that
Like,
one. Yeah.
if you actually do suck and you're not really tanking theoretically, and like you're a team where like you do have a good player, but they inevitably leave because your team sucks and they request a trade, that happens every once in a while. That could happen to the T-Wolves with Anthony Edwards. That can happen with whatever.
Yeah, just name your team. Yeah, it can happen.
Paolo Banchero. Like, I mean, the Magic are not as bad as they used to be, obviously, right? Because they've had consecutive years where they've gotten Wagner, Paolo, Suggs, like players like that. So, and you can see there is teams like that are generally growing from being bad teams, and like they're not perpetually the Wizards or the Hornets or whoever, or like one of those bottom dwelling teams that, like, sorry, the Kings.
They just have organizational malpractice. But the Thunder are a perfect example of how to actually implement tanking properly. Tank for 2-3 years, collect a ton of good draft capital. You got to hit on your picks, have to, which is why Presti is so good. He seems to just make the right pick every year.
Same with the Sixers. Just Embiid's made out of glass.
Absolutely, yeah. Daryl Morey is a great talent evaluator, right? So your GMs have to be able to hit on your picks. And you got to know how to actually leverage and use your draft capital, which, if you're a terrible team and you're not able to draft in the top 4, how are you supposed to build? And with this new CBA, it's even harder to build your team in free agency. So I don't know about the top 4. And then obviously you would have to make sure there are provisions in that would basically identify it has to be record based. Because let's say you have a good management like the Thunder. The Thunder could again get a top, potential top 4 pick, lottery pick this year. Would you punish Presti for maneuvering the way he did to get that pick? You couldn't. That wouldn't be right. So I don't know about that. So I think I agree with you there. Don't know about the no top 4 picks and back-to-back drafts.
That's wild.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Locking lottery odds after March 1st.
After March 1st, yeah.
That removes the incentive to shut guys down late in the season.
That one's pretty interesting. Yeah. Then you
Pretty
have to
interesting, right?
continue to play it out. I
It's
think
kind of
that
like
one's pretty
turning,
interesting.
yeah, it's like turning the last 6 weeks into actual basketball instead of just like, oh, we're going to sit out all our guys. And then also, then fans who can only afford to go to one game a year, if they go to that game, there's not like, oh, one guy's allowed to load manage now. I think you're not allowed to load manage certain players. I think, remember that rule last
Yeah.
year or whatever that was.
Yeah.
So like now it's like, okay, we can't load manage plus say this guy's actually injured. Like now people might get banged for their buck, which some people can only afford to go to 1 or 2 games a year. So, and they might have to go to the games at the end of the year perhaps. And this maybe incentivizes that as well. So I think that makes sense. What are your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't have much to add on that. I kind of agree there. I also just think I think we'll see over the next few years with these really flat lottery odds how much that really influences tanking. Because I know teams will still shut players down if they really have nothing to play for toward the back half of their seasons. But the fact that the Mavs got the first pick in this last draft is, they weren't tanking by any stretch, really. I mean, they kind of did get into the lottery, but they had a 1% chance to get the number one pick. So with your bottom three teams getting a 14% chance each, I think that's a pretty big incentive to not tank because those aren't great odds to get the number one pick there. And then I think in 2024, the Hawks got the first pick. They had, I think, a 5% chance or so, to win. So I even think the current rules that are in place are at least a step in the right direction. And then hopefully one of these new ideas that are being brought to the table can kind of help propel us to another level where we get more competition toward the end of the year. Because it does suck when you get into late February, March, and you have entire organizations just not playing for anything. And as a Kings fan, very familiar with how that feels.
What do you think about like if you finish maybe bottom three? Because what we are maybe bottom three. So like if you continuously finish 13, 14, 15, so not even threatening to play for the play in like 3 seasons in a row, because organizations tank, not players. You see the freaking scrubs, the G League guys. Obviously, they're going to try harder than anybody, but like the 13th through 15th guy on the bench that have standard contracts, those guys play only when there's injuries, essentially, right? So then you see what happens on nights where a top 5 team plays a bottom team and they somehow lose that game because a guy is playing for his livelihood. He's like, I want to showcase what I can do. I'm playing for my next contract. I'm playing for minutes on another team or this team. So players don't tank, especially the ones that don't have max contracts, right?
No, your two-way guys, especially to your point.
Those guys don't tank. It's the organization, it's the front office that freaking tank. So like, hey, how about there's a repeater penalty that if you finish bottom 3, bottom 2 in your conference, if you keep continuously doing that, then you have reduced lottery odds. What'd you say it is? 14 for the bottom teams?
14% for the bottom 3 teams in the league.
In the entire league.
I do like that idea where you scale it. So you still have a chance. We're not going to say you outright can't have that pick, but we're going to scale you back even from 14. Okay, you've been in the bottom 3 the last 3 years.
Balls.
You're getting less balls. You're getting a 6% chance. You're getting a 5% chance now. I think that's an interesting idea as well. But it's tough to punish teams that are already terrible. It's a really interesting problem. There's just no clear way to do this, which makes the NFL so I think unique because every team seems to be competing until basically you get to this part of the year where you're in the last maybe three games or so.
Yep.
But I think the play-in tournament has been somewhat successful in dissuading some of the tanking, and I think the lottery odds have helped a little bit. So I think Adam Silver and the NBA offices will continue to make incremental improvements. I don't think there's going to be a one magic wand wave and we'll fix it. But I think they're building to something proper. All right, Amir, I took a little bit too much of your time here. Any final thoughts you want to give? Who do we think is going to be battling for those ping pong balls this year? Is it just going to be the bottom 3 in the East? Do you see maybe my Kings getting in there? What do you see there as we kind of
The Kings are definitely going to get there because they're going to hopefully trade Malik Monk.
I don't know. Russ just might keep winning. He just might keep winning you games.
No, he's not. Malik Monk is going to get traded. They're going to trade Zach LaVine or DeMar. Someone's going to get traded. You're going to have to play younger scrubs. You don't have too many. We talked about this. There's not too many options for you guys to play. But
just don't trade Max Renault. Just don't trade Max. Love that guy.
Don't trade him, but play more of the Eubankses and whoever you have on the bench. Then you'll lose more in the West, and you'll have a better chance. So we'll see. Kings, Wizards, Hornets. Those are Jazz, maybe even. I don't know.
The usual suspects, honestly.
The usual suspects. I mean, shit, the Clippers. I mean, which we don't want this year.
No, they have no incentive this year. They should not be tanking.
They're not. They're not, but they are the second worst team left. Insane to think about right now.
Yeah, pretty crazy. We thought they'd win around 50 games, or at least I did. All right, Amir. Well, thank you. Appreciate your time here, and thank you all for watching. If you did like the segment, please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you later.